All right, here we are to talk about American Underdog. And am I going to wear Rams material? I'm from St. Louis. Not so much. So let's go with Kurt's last team where he almost grabbed ring number two. Okay, American Underdog, the tale of Kurt Warner revisited. What did I expect? Well, it's a sports movie. I always tame my expectations. When I know the subject matter as well as I know the greatest show on turf, the St. Louis Rams Super Bowl teams around the turn of the century, my lens is even more critical. So people will compare this movie to Rudy, but that movie, I loved it, but it has more artificial sweetener than any diet soda on the planet. You see, Rudy's doubters line up like an old fire department bucket brigade. Family, fans, anybody. Kurt Warner's doubters are occasionally human, but for the most part, it's more like Luke Skywalker in Star Wars in northern Iowa feels like Tatooine. Luke Skywalker stranded on his desert home planet, a galaxy away from his dreams, even though the climate's quite a bit different. With the help of a real-life blizzard on that note, northern Iowa, as portrayed by the great state of Oklahoma, feels bleak. You can feel the sense of dreams slipping away. That Gateway Conference Player of the Year honor that Kurt won, just the memories of that slipped away mile by mile. I think people who didn't feel, though, like they could relate to Kurt at the start, they still think, he's a millionaire. Okay, he had a rough start. So be it. You get there, though. You see him dig through his car for change to get gasoline. How many people is that relatable to? Even if it was just being a teenager and you needed money, or as an adult, struggling to pay the bills, figuring out which bill got paid. That was a powerful moment. And anyway, hope that wasn't too much of a spoiler alert. This story seems to stay very true to the events of Kurt's career. But there's a big fast forward button. I think you won't be upset about missing out on Kurt playing 11 snaps of garbage time for a miserable 4-12 1998 Rams club where he was the third stringer, or 3 full years of arena ball. You don't go to Amsterdam. Kurt didn't get high anyway, so you're not missing anything there when he was in the World League. I'm surprised they didn't include his Bears experience, because he was set to try out for the Bears, and then that was lost to a spider bite. Kind of ironic. American Underdog tries to get people into theaters while Spider-Man's hogging up the screens. Kind of interesting. But anyway, not in the film. The Packers thing also is on fast forward. He tried out for the Packers, and that was made to seem like he lost it all in a span of 2 minutes. That happens with movies. Anyway, it serves the purpose. There's so many things to squeeze into the Kurt story that it just works. Let's talk about Zach Levi. That's when they really let you know that this film was really trying to reach people and not just the traditional faith-based movie audience. And this has been Kurt's mindset, to really expand the word and not just preach to the choir. We all know, I think anybody who knows anything about Kurt Warner, he's very strong in his faith. That's been part of his story from day one. And he's done it in a different way than he did in his early days. So you got Zach Levi on board. Not that long ago, he certainly did well with Shazam. So he's still, on the radar screen as, an actor people are interested in. It's not like he wandered off in the desert after Chuck. So Zach Levi, here he is, 41 years old. And how are you going to play a college student without some kind of CGI or makeup madness? But there's a youthful vigor about that guy that it just works, at least for me. And to me, he captures that complicated mix where Kurt's got this swagger side and yet a lot of humility. And again, when we talk about the kind of swagger he had before he, I think, fully gave in to God, so to speak, he also captures Kurt's compassion. I've been around Kurt Warner. Don't exactly hang out, don't know his address, but he has that matter-of-fact compassion. He's not tooting a horn when he talks about causes or just caring or just being decent to people. So there's a real sincerity, too. He just plays the decency of Kurt Warner in just that way that he lets the story come to him. So Anna Paquin comes in, plays Brenda. I think she made it easier to relate to Brenda. Now, Brenda's not everybody's cup of tea. She's outspoken. She dares to be different. She called on her husband's behalf on a sports radio show. That rubbed some people the wrong way. Others completely agreed with her. Either way, Anna Paquin was a good vessel to understand what Brenda Warner's been through. Even though you know the story, I think just seeing someone else portray it gives you a fresh rethink, and that's interesting. Anna Paquin's tremendous. I've always been a fan. The folks who played her parents were great, especially Brenda's father. They met anyway. It's well documented that they had some difficult things happen. The woman who played Kurt's mother, outstanding as well. It really gives you the sense that, Kurt was not living a good life as a kid. He had to fight for everything he got without having a heavy backstory of, no, I'm sorry, Kurt, we can't get you everything you want for Christmas. Dennis Quaid is Dick Vermeil. He's not putting in a lot of minutes here, but, Dennis Quaid has presence. And, some people may say he doesn't look like Dick Vermeil, but how many actors out there, look spot on like Dick Vermeil? How many, 65-year-old actors are out there? I mean, I could think of a couple. I just don't know if they would have, committed to a project like this, or the price tag would have been right. So Dennis Quaid is Dick Vermeil. I thought that was a great find. I've always enjoyed his work. Nice pickup. This movie, it's not like a Rocky movie with a montage of the Rams' remarkable season where you start off 6-0. I was at every game but the Super Bowl as far as the home games. It was special when they exercised the 49ers demon in week 4. I think they lost 17 straight times to the Niners. And personally, I didn't buy into the Kurt Warner thing 100% until that 49ers game. I thought, like you do in sports, okay, you figure the guy out. But, we were the ones who had to figure it out, that Kurt Warner was for real. You're not going to see the catch with Ricky Prohl, which I thought would have been beautiful in film. I would have loved that. You didn't get the post pattern to Isaac Bruce to open up the playoff win over the Vikings, or the incredible atmosphere in that dome. For everybody who wants to run down St. Louis as a football town, you needed to be in the dome for that playoff game. Man, that was special. 65,000 yellow styrofoam noodles. The noise in that building 1 hour before the game was unbelievable. But anyway, on to the story. What you'll see is, as far as football, when it comes to the Rams part, when you're talking about actual games, 95% of the story is devoted to the opening win over the Ravens. I was there. It was something to see. That does cause a rush of emotion to see the dome in its glory because, people in St. Louis aren't just bitter because the Rams moved, but because they were so terribly run for so many years after the greatest show on turf. They sent Mike Martz away while, basically he had a fungus on his heart. So basically you're sending the guy away on his potential deathbed to the unemployment line. It got to be a slimy organization real fast. So you look at this story, and the opening game is great. It's very much Kurt and Brenda's story, though. And selfishly, I wanted more of the greatest show on turf experience. More interaction between Kurt and Vermeil. There are certainly special moments between, Zach and Dennis as the actors. I guess we'll refer to them. But you get the opening game, and they jump to a quick climax with the Super Bowl. And again, that's Kurt and Brenda driven. You're not going to see the tackle or the nervousness tied to Steve McNair catching fire in the second half and battling through the game with a broken body. Would have loved a more fleshed out football story, but Again, no complaints. That's movies. The universe implodes, but we only see if the family dog survives. It's kind of, you kind of narrow the focus in film and not try to create such a big universe that it's too much story to keep up with. So you don't find yourself cheated, even if you're a greatest show on turf fan. But again, I know for a lot of people, especially younger people, the greatest show on turf, sadly, it's kind of ancient history. So, let's talk about other aspects of the film. I thought they did a great job moving from the actors to stock footage of the players. Football is not easy to recreate in film, but I think they did an outstanding job with it, and I think you'll appreciate that. And they moved from the actors to stock footage of the players. That's where I got the chills. Bruce McGill is the guy they won't talk about in this movie. Bruce McGill, to me, is the guy who really makes the middle of the movie sing. Okay, Kurt's agent that he had for a while saying, pal, sorry, it's been too long. You're yesterday's news. You just got to move on. And all hope seems dashed. And then Bruce McGill comes in. Who's Bruce McGill? The name you may not know, but the face you will. He was, the police detective, official, whatever, in a Rizzolian Isles. He's been on a million shows, usually playing some kind of upper brass police type. But Bruce McGill plays the owner of the Iowa Barnstormers in this movie. Just comes in and encounters Kurt and Brenda and says, I've got a place for you. Kurt says, hey, arena football, that's not legit. No way. And eventually, the two get together. And Bruce McGill just has this P.T. Barnum presence. Makes a lot of noise in this bleak period. He really comes to the rescue. A charismatic ringmaster that really gave Kurt's future CPR. Really got things moving again for him. Now let's talk about the faith-based movie aspect. Some people are leery that it will be all faith-based, just like a movie with Willie Ames or Kirk Cameron. I think this movie finds a balance. Much like Kurt went from saying, "Thank you, Jesus," at the Georgia Dome podium, and then as time went by, went to a more practical, conversational approach to spread his faith. Well, the film has obvious moments of faith discussion, but really, as you move through this movie, the characters, they lead by example. You could say it was like a Kurt Warner pass where they threaded the needle. Now, much of this movie is about Kurt and Brenda, as I mentioned, but football comes into play as well. But to me, the thing I love is the Kurt and Zach story. It, to me, is the most beautiful thing about this movie. Zachary is, at the time, Brenda's son, who was visually impaired and developmentally disabled after her first husband, or like the father, birth father, accidentally dropped him in a bathtub as an infant. Now, I worked at a station where Kurt had a little weekly segment, and one time he came into the studio, and he needed someone to watch his son, who went on to become his son, Zach, who battled, the blindness, the visual impairment, the developmental delays. Not 100% blind, I don't think, could see some things, but anyway, Kurt's in the studio, someone needed to watch Zach, I was there, so sure. So basically, they were going to have me hang with Zach in the conference room and load VCR tapes for him. And really, you got right down to it. The kid didn't really need much of my help. All I was there for is to make sure some weirdo didn't come in and bug Kurt Warner's kid. The kid just felt like he had no limitations, and he took the challenges he faced like he was just punching a time clock. It is what it is. Matter of factly, he wasn't making, a bunch of sayings or a lot of noise. He just pushed through. That's who Zach Warner is. And that was portrayed perfectly in this movie by young Hayden Zoller, who is completely blind in real life. Levi was sensational in his work with this kid. And the kid was exceptional as well. They were just great. And very touching moments. And I think it's going to hit a nerve for a lot of people. Single moms, it will hit a nerve. And like Brenda kind of comes out and says, "You don't want me. I've got baggage." And the way Kurt was embraced and vice versa by Zach in this movie, it's powerful. It's moving, and it does it in a subtle way. It doesn't overwork the sentimental score underneath. It's just very well done. Yeah, I think you look at a guy like Kurt Warner and you have to say he was a father before he ever became a dad or adopted Zach. He just had that quality, and that is portrayed so well in this movie. Kurt's like a real-life Rocky Balboa, except he didn't have an Apollo Creed open the door for him. Certainly, the owner of the Barnstormers helped quite a bit. But for the most part, he opened his own doors, and sure, he didn't have an eventual entourage like Rocky running to the steps of the art museum in Philly. But his throwing footballs all alone to backyard targets to stay sharp really sets the kind of contrast I'm mentioning there, where, he's keeping his dreams alive with no help whatsoever. There's no trainer. He's not working out with a receiver from college. Hey, he might have in real life, but it just gave you a sense of just how alone he was in this bid to make it, and it's just unbelievable. Well, for me, it was a special place and time. In 1999, I reached places in my career that I didn't expect. And, I had some doubts. I was working with people I grew up listening to, and there was just inspiration in watching the Rams week to week. Here's the beauty, too. Rams ticket sales had been sinking. I mean, there was the euphoria when they came to town in 1995. And you had 3 straight dreadful seasons. It was a dysfunctional organization. Just a mess. A quarterback who screwed up over his dog, Felony. Yeah, that's your leader with a dog named Felony. And I like Banks, Tony Banks, the old rifle-armed quarterback. They set that guy up to fail. Part of the problems with the St. Louis Rams. So the Rams were desperate to get people to buy tickets. $25. It was something. It was something. The greatest show on turf, $25. And you kind of appreciated having the Mike Martz view being up top and see it all unfold. Anyway, it was a special time. And again, those greatest show on turf moments are just so fleeting. The period seemed to soar and vanish like a shooting star. It's tough because you look forward, even when the Rams sunk and stunk every Sunday, went like 15-75 or whatever it was. You still look forward to these guys from the greatest show on turf going into Canton, being in the Ring of Honor, and you feel cheated. I mean, I went to this flag football game where Orlando Pace had been voted into the Hall of Fame. He didn't go up on that Ring of Honor where, you got other guys up there, Rams and Big Red Legends. So we watch Orlando Pace get balloons. So that's tough. You just feel cheated with so many memories. And it's almost like the history of the greatest show on turf's almost been like wiped off the mental map in St. Louis, which is really frustrating to me because those guys were special. They had nothing to do with the move or the lease or anything else. This movie puts some of that magic back and reminds you not only how special the greatest show on turf was, how great the Kurt story was, but how it just made everyone feel. It was really a special time of euphoria. I enjoyed it more than the Blues Stanley Cup. I enjoyed it more than even the crazy Cardinals 2011 World Title. It was special. So this movie really not only reminds you of the joy, but also makes you angry again if you were a fan of the greatest show on turf and the St. Louis football team, because I try to avoid using the term Rams. It reminds you how, time marches on. You do some other things with your Sundays. If you don't abandon the NFL, you follow another team, you just move on. But it reminds you what an outrage it was that this team was taken, devalued, then taken, and moved out to LA. But that's another story for another day. But, I interviewed Kurt Warner face to face, on the phone, and the guy hasn't changed. He didn't change from the preseason of, 1999 to when he went to Canton. I think he may have refined some things, but he has the same decency, just down to earth. And you look at the guy on social media, the way he communicates with people. He'll talk to anybody. He doesn't care how much you know about football. He'll talk faith. He'll talk football. He'll talk anything. And he's just a better communicator, whether he's working a football game, whether he's talking to someone on social media, and through this film, because he's trying to tell a tale of faith and also faith in yourself. Don't give up. It's a beautiful movie, and I look at the way people reacted to it, and I think there were people who, I think anybody could relate to it, unless if you just had this incredible silver spoon in your mouth. You can relate to this movie. It deals with real life hurt and disappointment, and just a reminder that there are people out there that you can believe in. And it's a message of hope in a time where we really need it. No doubt about it. After wave and wave of COVID-19, it just leaves you with a good feeling. And who doesn't need that these days? I'm Sean Billett. That's this almost was, let's see here, 1/5 as long as the movie. And if you stuck around this long, I imagine you've already seen the movie or you're extremely, extremely interested. That's a wrap for now. See ya.